let's just talk a little bit about your mother then. She was adopted, wasn't she? So
She wasn't adopted, it's just that in those days in Ireland, Roseanne Macmillan, her name was, and she was a really good woman. And my mother died when my mother was born, and so my Roseanne, we called my grandmother, just walked over the fields and said to my grandfather, "I'll take Mary Ann in."
Picked up the child
and just took her home
back.
And treated her one of her own children.
But
and
no,
then
more
2 years
than that.
later, she doted on Mummy. Mummy was the...
Oh, my mother was like a little princess. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
So my mother was picked up from a cradle, walked across a field, brought up
As
in
one
a
of the family. Yeah.
And she
Absolutely
was...
one of the family.
Right.
And she was called Lamb because she was very gentle and very shy, and she didn't speak a lot, and when she spoke very softly. So she was called Lamb.
It's a lovely name, isn't it?
And she was very pretty, and my grandmother had quite a big farm, and obviously she employed young boys on it and all that. And they were always after my mother. My mother was incredibly shy, but she met, I don't know how she met my father, but they met and they fell in love, and it was a real love match.
And my father had been messing around with all sorts of things because he was the youngest of 12. They bought a farm by the loch in Lough Island, a chicken farm. My father bought this, and it failed completely because my father was completely useless because all he was good at was writing and playing the fiddle. And so they then sold that or got rid of it. My father went to London.
And joined the British Army.
And he joined the British Army. And my mother stayed in Ireland. And then he eventually, after the war, brought her over to London, to a very central part of London, which is very famous, Ennismore Gardens and Knightsbridge. And they lived, my father was from the sort of family where they considered themselves rich and posh, and they were. And my father my father used to say to us, "Don't go over Chelsea Bridge, that's working class over there." You said that's what my father was like. He was a snob.
Yeah, here's the taxi.
I can tell you the story of the taxi. Now, so what my father wanted to do was he wanted to do something like this, taxiing, but also he wanted time at home in his bed to write his books, and then, and
play the violin.
And play the violin. And this was a very, very strange little sort of menage.
When you were kids then, did you feel it was strange, or did you?
No.
No. Everything was normal to you?
Yes. Everything that happened to us when we were children, for good, everything for good happened because of my mother.
She was stable.
And that is the absolute truth. When we used to lie in bed at night, I used to make up stories.
Right.
I was a storyteller.
Okay.
And I used to write, I used to tell the stories, make up. If we were in bed in the dark, and I would make up the stories.
No, I didn't sleep.
Yes. And then, so that went on. So, and then the next night they'd say, "What's the next episode?" Right. Anyway,
okay.
But Jerry's right. When we came to doing, putting our plays, it was Geraldine and I who...
You were the protagonists,
We were the protagonists. It was Geraldine and I. Christine and Helena were part of it.
Yeah.
Rosemary never took any part, but it was us.
She was
and
looking
we
at tablets all
invited
the time,
once we invited my father once to see it.
And what happened? What was the result of that?
And he wasn't particularly enthralled with the whole thing. because you see, we were very tiny children, so we were, we were making things
Fairy
up.
stories, yeah.
The fairy stories up, but we did do it
Every year.
and we did this all the time. You see, because we were children, we were 5 little girls in a house in the middle of Pimlico. Think about it for a minute.
And we started to, from October, because we used to go to Ireland in the summertime, which was wonderful. I mean, I loved Ireland so much, it was wonderful. And then we came back and we started school. Then October, Kathy and I would start to get an idea about play, or Christmas play, and it was a big part of Christmas. It really was a big part of Christmas, wasn't it? I remember it as well as anything at all. And then...
So you were always excited about it, were you?
Oh, yeah, really excited about it.
Yeah.
Well, because I was reading the stories at night in the bed. I was making them up. They were just coming out of my head.
Yeah.
And then all of from that came the things, the stories that Jerry would chip in. Jerry would say, "Well,
Could
all
do
of
this or we could do that." She was making
So
suggestions.
Jerry and I were
formulating the whole
really.
thing. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, well that's. But what was you? So you were quite young girls, or young ladies, let's say, growing up in London in a really exciting time, right in the middle, right, just in Victoria, next door to the King's Road, blah blah blah.
Local shop.
So what was all that like? I mean, what was London like in those days? A little bit.
We went to a convent school at Westminster, so a lot of the girls who came to the school, they all came from Soho, because this was the nearest Catholic school, and they were all Catholics. And you see, Soho was a very
Different place.
It was a very different place, and it was very quiet and sort of
full of Italians, no Chinese.
And no, there were no Chinese. There was no aggro, and we used to go to coffee shops. There were loads of coffee shops. You just went in and you had a coffee.
Yeah.
And
there were jukeboxes in the coffee shops.
Yes, there were. There were jukeboxes. So
But it was exciting.
So we went to the coffee shops. We eventually went on then to some of the clubs, like the Marquee. We went to the Marquee, but absolutely no drink or anything like that.
Right.
Long John Baldry, Julie Driscoll. We went to all those, the 100 Club. But we were home.
Rod Stewart.
Roger. But we were home. I was home on the 11 bus to thing. I was home by probably about 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, right.
I mean, it was never any question of staying out. I suppose it's like one of the Italian films you see, where people go and have. So that was strange.
Innocent.
It was rather innocent,
Yeah.
And we'd,
Were you happy at that age, at those ages?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so. I mean, because we weren't rubbing up against thugs.
No.
We had no thugs.
Right.
There was no thugs.
No wide boys, nothing.
No wide boys or anything like that. And we did go on a bit, Jerry. I think we didn't we go on a bit where we went to the 100 Club, and there were more. And also when we went to the Marquee, although we didn't take drink or drugs or anything like that, but it was so exciting.
Oh, it was wonderful.
It was.
The music was
the
wonderful.
music. It was so exciting.
Julie Driscoll.
Because
Long John Baldry.
because we were
We'd never heard of it before.
We'd never heard anything like this before.
So what used to happen was that every summer you used to go to Ireland for a holiday. Is that what used to happen? Tell me a little bit about that. You used to get all your your sandwiches packed and all that sort of stuff.
And we used to get frozen jobblies. Yeah. And we used to get the train up to Hazen, wasn't it?
Yes, we used to go
and then on the boat.
We used to go for the whole of the summer.
Yeah.
6 weeks.
The contrast between, busy streets of London and whatnot, to Ireland, it must have been like
wonderful. Freedom. absolutely wonderful. I loved it.
But wonderful. But you say she says wonderful.
Freedom.
But we just went into it. It was just
Kids do.
it was easy.
And everybody was lovely.
We were home. It was easy.
And everybody was lovely.
There's no problem.
Roseanne, my grandmother, was just I hate to say the word a real Christian, a real saint. I mean, she was the gentlest, kindest person you could know. I mean, really and
the
truly.
toughest businesswoman.
She ran the farm. She was still riding a horse when she was 86. And that Joey was absolutely a hero as far as I was concerned. And he was the one of the best people I've known. He was brilliant with children. But he was, to me, he was one of the most important people in my life, and I loved him dearly, really, you know.
And he had, I always remember looking at the books that he had.
All cowboy books.
And they were all cowboy books. And they were, you know, they were sort of American cowboy books and everything.
Romantic as well.
Romantic, very romantic.
Yeah.
But Calamity Jane came to the local village where we lived, and there was a house there. There was a place there where they showed films now and again and everything. Anyway, they showed Calamity Jane, and Joey. He was, and there was no drink there. Calamity Jane to Joey was, the whole thing was.
He's talking about time.
See, Joey was a cowboy in a way.
Yeah. He was.
That's all I'm saying.
They're all family pictures, really. There's one. There's another with all the five sisters.
Yeah.
And there's another with your mother and you two.
Yes.
And I just sort of thought that, I mean, you're quite a family. There's 5 sisters. You don't seem to have arguments very much.
No, never. Do you know I told someone that? Do you know Rupert? When I was talking to Rupert, and I said to her, do you know something, Rupert? I said, we have never, ever fallen out. Now, Gordon, think about that for a minute.
You're talking about the 5 sisters,
yes.
Correct? Yeah.
We have never fallen out.
Amazing.
Now, think about that. Jerry, Rosemary, Helena, Chrissy, none of us. You know what that's down to? My mother. It was my mother. My mother was saint. And she kept, my mother, you know what she used to do?
She kept you all really grounded, didn't she?
Oh, she did. You know what she used to say? If you complained to my mother about your sister,
She wouldn't. She'd say no. Don't.
she'd say,
I don't want to know.
she'd say, that I am not taking part in that. Sort it out between yourselves. This is what she used to say. My mother was a very, very unusual person.
She would never criticise one child to another.
No.
Last thing, just wave to the camera. Come on, Kathy.
Oh,
Thank you, Gordon.
Wish us best. Wish the world best, please.
don't show that to anyone before I see it.
Please show the world best. Wish the world best,
Up the
please.
world, up the world.
Well, I do wish the world the
Up
best.
the world.